My name is Vahid Chitsaz, part of the Elite Mastermind group. Welcome, David. Let's dive into it, brother. Think and Grow Rich. When did you start? How did you start?
Yeah, man. You know, I was, the book was sent to me about 4 years ago. And I really started to, actually, I read the book and then I listened to, there's an abridged version of the audio that I listened to where it just really focuses on the 12 principles. And really just been transformative for me, you know, specifically on the visualization, mastermind. That's, you know, I have a mastermind myself. I'm part of many masterminds, having a complete action plan. And then in speaking of visualization, I actually have my vision board sitting right there that I update on a regular basis.
I got mine right here.
Right? Yeah, it's got to be in a place that's visible. And then kind of that gut feeling and that sixth sense, knowing what my core beliefs are in visualization and meditation has been helpful. So yeah, it's just been transformative for me.
That is awesome. So David, what a couple of things, couple of the principles that you're implementing right now in your business? What are you using the most and how are you applying those?
Yeah, so, I mean, I'll just start off, you know, the first thing I do in the morning to get ready for my day is I visualize. And what that looks like is I really just sit down and I just think and meditate. What's the best that I can do today, right? What's the best that I can, and I try to visualize things happening the right way. You know, the meetings that I have, I visualize them going well. I visualize, you know, the sales calls that I have, visualize them going well. So visualization for me has been very important, especially as, you know, as an entrepreneur. I run 3 different businesses. I have to be able to be focused and really know what what I need to accomplish for that day. So that visualization is so helpful. The mastermind, as I mentioned before, I think it's brilliant. Like even just reading the book and knowing the people that were in some of those earlier masterminds, Henry Ford and that whole group. I really, really, truly believe that my mastermind is what allows me to grow faster than many others. You know, I'm 29 years old. And, you know, there's been a process of really, you know, I think people over time, you know, you can learn things kind of by making mistakes and trying over. But being a part of a mastermind for me has been one of those things that has accelerated my growth 10x or even more because I'm able to learn from their mistakes. And so I'm not always making those kind of early mistakes. And the power of multiple minds. When I'm struggling with something, and, you know, I have a mastermind that we actually talk about personal stuff and professional business stuff. But when I'm struggling with something, you know, the power of multiple minds to solve an issue when many others have already solved it. And the cool thing about it is my mastermind is not just people that are in, you know, I do digital consulting for brands, for large corporate brands. The mastermind that I'm in is actually not all corporate brands. You know, there's real estate planners, there's SEO people, there's, you know, a doctor that owns one of the largest health networks. But the principles still stay the same. And so I'm able to learn from that. And that's been great. And then also just accountability of a mastermind. I mean, I think you're the average of the people you spend the most time with. And that's just something that you can just see all throughout the book that you know, the average of the people that you spend the most time with really determines what your destiny is. And so I really, you know, after reading it and again, I listen to it 3 times a week. I listen to the abridged 2-hour, I fall asleep to it every night with listening to the principles. The accountability of that mastermind and having that network around you that is all looking to grow, versus I know for many people, they spend a lot of time with people that are not necessarily looking for their best interests, and they're not looking to grow. And I'll tell you this, like every conversation that I have right now, in my day-to-day is always about growth, whether it's growth in business, growth in my relationships, growth in my faith. I'm in an environment where I'm always in a place to grow. So that's been awesome. So
that is so cool. I mean, I love the word accountability that you used. I love that because without accountability, it just doesn't work. So that, yeah. Someone needs to help you on your success journey and call you out when you're not performing at the peak level. And when you trust those individuals and you look up to those people, then you take it more seriously versus, you know, a lot of entrepreneurs, they don't have a mentor and they don't have a mastermind group. And if those things are not in place, your success will just be delayed. Just like you said, you're doing the 10X And the reason why you're doing 10x is because of those things. So if any of those elements are missing, that means it's gonna slow it down. For many, many, many years, David, I thought I was a very smart guy. I went and did a lot of things. I made a lot of mistakes, and I learned, right? I do it once or twice. I learn my lesson, right? I might be slow in that process a little bit, but I learned. But here's what I've been trying to do and is striving to get to that level. So I'm pulling out my smartness out. I want to be a wise person. A wise person watches this smart guy, go makes all the mistakes, and then learns from that. So you observing other entrepreneurs, other business owners doing what they do, because a lot of them are geniuses, they're smart, and they will make mistakes. It's just part of the growth. But then you might be able to avoid that. So if you could avoid that, then that would be awesome. So tell me this, where do you think the digital marketing is going within the next 5-10 years? Based on your experience and your expertise, where do you see it going?
Yeah, and just real quick before we close that point, I do want to make a point. I think, as a millennial myself, and as I think society is as a whole lacks, it doesn't value wise counsel. I think we think that we can find it all on Google or the internet, or you can find it in a course or whatever, but that's just not true. I just wanted to say that, like, just for my peeps, like the people that are in my generation that are watching this, it's not true. You can find a lot of information on the internet, but the truth is that accountability piece and then the context of that information is so important, because, I've seen some stuff that says, man, that's really, really smart, but doesn't apply for me right now. So just did want to mention that. Digital marketing. Yeah. That's a great question. It's always evolving. It's always steadily evolving. Facebook has an empire, Google has an empire, and they really, control the kind of how things move. I will say we're going through the greatest transfer of information since the printing press. Before the printing press, it was like, if you had to get a book, someone else had to write it. I mean, now the availability of information is everywhere. And I think digital marketing, at the beginning when the internet started to come out and really become useful, I would say 2006 to 2010, 2012, when you really were able to use it for marketing, and people were transferring their marketing from things like newspaper and things like, your church bulletin or your, doing your billboards and all that. And they transfer all those marketing dollars over to online. It was pretty easy. Like, if you liken it to baseball, it's like, if you knew how to play the game, you could play. But now, because so many people are getting into digital marketing, some of the powerhouse, huge corporate brands are getting, really, really putting a lot of money into digital marketing. It really requires you to be very, very skilled. So what I see over the next 5 years is that it's going to require more and more of you being very skilled. It's going to be a degree that you get in school. And I would just encourage you, if you do want to get into digital marketing, it's something that, like, you need to study it a lot. It's not like it's just, I think some people think that going into digital marketing is like, oh, it's an easier way than going into a business. It is, if not as hard, harder. But I think, there's going to be a lot more focus on niche marketing. So there's going to be people that, you're not just a Facebook marketer, you're a Facebook marketer for a specific niche, and you're going to have to be an all-star, right? So it's not just knowing how to play the game of baseball. You're going to have to be an all-star player where you're studying and reading. And the truth is that these algorithms are constantly changing. They're going to continue to change more. If you want me to dream a little bit, I think virtual reality is going to be huge coming up with virtual reality meetings. I think digital media will move into virtual reality. I think a lot of people will spend their time watching their sports games with their friends in virtual reality. I think a lot of businesses will run on virtual reality. There's a lot of businesses that are strictly like virtual reality meetups. I think dating will move to virtual reality. So on that side of the digital space, but I don't see Facebook or Google kind of losing power anytime soon in terms of being kind of in the forefront of marketing, because they're
here to stay.
Yeah, I think they're just going to continue to. I mean, if you think about it, though, there's so many brands that came up and fell down, but what they've learned is they continue to evolve. And I think you just keep an eye on those early adopters. If you're actively kind of researching your niche, always looking up, just like you're saying with masterminds, hey, what's coming up? What's on the, one of my clients is drax.com, Ancient Nutrition. They're Inc. 500 company. They're the largest natural health website in the world. And, as they were working up to that point of being the leader, you kind of are building on the shoulders of giants. You're learning from what other people are doing, but now they're actually setting the trends, right? And as we set the trends, it really we're looking at how many, like CBD is a big market that's coming up. You know, it's the non-psychoactive form of cannabis, and it's very, very helpful it's very good for health. And so how we kind of enter that market, which is, I think, will continue to act similarly, is we look at what people are searching on Google. And you can use an app like SEMrush to see what are people searching on Google, and then how many of those people are actually finding their solution. And there's a ton of stuff that you could search for. Hey,
I think we should do another video where you're going to go into details. Right. We're just going to talk about that, because it's a huge, I want to say a movement, a shift of currency that's just going there. And I love it, because now I can access information and learn from the top people much at a faster rate, versus me waiting for their course or their seminars or event come up for me to be able to join. And that usually takes a couple of months, but now it's just like right there, you'll be able to do it. So definitely it's a big game changer. And I think a lot of there's two categories I see. Probably under 40, 50, they're kind of getting accustomed to it. You know, they're going with the flow. They might be a little bit slow, but they're still going with it. Younger generation is going faster with it. But then we got this whole entire sector that's just like really slow. They're just dragging their feet. So we're just like pulling them little by little, give them more information. So familiarizing them with this space is a key.
Yeah, I would say one thing to note, I don't think a lot of people do this. What the 15 to 18-year-old kids are doing right now is usually what the trend is going to be determined by. And it's going to slowly migrate up a little bit, because those 15 to 18-year-olds, their parents didn't know anything about digital media. So as they learned about stuff, they taught it to their parents, right? But looking at what the 15 to 18-year-olds are doing right now will give you a pretty good insight to what will happen in 5 years. But I will say this: technology never advances in a manner that makes sense to us. Like if you had told, Napoleon Hill that we would have electric cars and that can go 400 miles, or that we have rocket ships that can go to space and land at the same time, that we would have the ability to get on our phone and search, anything and get to any destination, they'd be like, there's no chance. Your mind can't even fathom it. So I would just be encouraged, but also know that, like, digital marketing, this whole online, we can't even fathom what it'll be like in 5 years, because this little iPhone that we're doing this on, this is incredible. Like the fact that we can talk to people 100 years ago, like you had to get on a dial-up phone, and like there was a wire that literally connected us. We were like, hey,
David, I liked you till you mentioned iPhone. I liked you. I was having a good conversation with you till you said iPhone, and you said that. Now you and I. Now I don't know if I want to continue.
Don't tell me you're an Android guy. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. No, I whatever floats your boat.
It's so funny. It's so many of my friends. It's the same thing. The husband has a different phone and the wife has a different. Like I'm a Samsung guy, and hardcore, and then my wife is an iPhone, and it's been like that, God knows, for like the 6-7 years that I've been with her. So it's always been like that. It's so crazy how you said that.
I have 10 siblings, no twins. Half of them have Apple, and the other half have Microsoft, and there's a big war. No, I'm just kidding. We all get along.
That's awesome. David, listen, thank you so much for joining us today and being with us. I know you're a busy man, but hopefully we'll get to do this more often. I'm going to clean up some schedules so we can get together. I'm putting together a digital mastermind group just for the digital technologies that's coming out, innovative materials that are coming out. So I'll reach back to you. If not, in a couple of weeks, reach back to me and we're going to put something together. Hopefully we'll get you on another show.
Awesome, brother. It was an honor. It was an honor.
You got it, brother. Take care. Thanks. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.